Welcome back to another episode of Just Gay Stuff. I'm Lauren.
And I am Jess. And today, joining us on Just Gay Stuff podcast, we have a singing, dancing, clowning drag performer all the way from Canada. But today, joining us here in sunny Brisbane, it is cool.
It's sunny today, actually.
It is cool, but it is sunny.
Yeah.
But I'm sure it is more cool in Canada. So today, we have Pandora's Box Muncher.
Hello, welcome.
Hello, thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for coming on. It's such a joy to have another drag performer on our show.
I'm very, very excited to talk to you guys about gay stuff.
Yeah,
I love it.
Gay
Of
stuff.
Gay stuff is our jam.
I love gay stuff. So, as we mentioned in your intro, all the way from Canada.
Yes.
How did you find yourself in Brisbane?
So I'm actually here on a semester exchange from
cool.
my home university.
Wow,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Tell us more about that.
Okay, so I go to McGill in Montreal and I study environmental science and social justice and gender studies. And yeah, I chose Brisbane because of the nature around here. I really love nature and the university matched well with my program. Honestly.
wow.
So,
I didn't even know that was a thing.
No.
Yeah. So, originally in Canada, where are you from?
I'm from Toronto, in Canada.
Yeah, I've been to Toronto.
Oh,
I love
cool.
Toronto.
Yeah.
There's
I haven't
actually
been there yet.
Lauren isn't well traveled yet, but we'll get there.
One day.
She went to New Zealand this year. That was big.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
In Toronto, there was this place called Black Market.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I love that place.
Yeah, the thrift store?
Yeah, everything's $10 and under. That's the
Yeah,
best.
totally.
I went there and I was fully unprepared for Canadian winter.
Oh.
When did you go?
I went in November. I knew it was going to be cold. Like, I'm not a dickhead. Like, I knew it was going to be
She's
cold.
a sun baby though.
But I only kind of got that aspect of like layering.
Yeah.
So we were going to like hockey games and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah.
When we went into Black Market, they had like all these awesome big coats for $10. It's probably changed now, price of inflation.
When were you there?
2016 and then again in 2017.
Yeah, I think it's a little bit more expensive now.
Oh no.
Sadly.
That's like 100 years ago now.
I think it's more like the cheapest thing is $10.
Okay. Well, that's still good. That's
Yeah.
still good. How do you find Brisbane?
It's been really cool. I've really enjoyed doing drag here. I've been at the Beat Mega Club every Sunday, Spotlight. They have an open stage every Sunday, so I've been doing that because that's just like an opportunity to drag. And then, we met at UQ Queer Fest.
Yeah, the Queer Fest.
So that was really fun. To do that, I literally just reached out to UQ Queer Union.
Yep.
And I just told them that I was going to be here for the semester and that I was a drag artist and I wanted to do stuff. And then they had the Queer Fest and they were like, come and do it. And
That's
I was
awesome.
like, okay, cool.
That's amazing.
And then we met. And then
Yeah.
that was awesome.
My next question was literally going to be, how did you get onto, because you ended up MCing.
Yeah, I
It wasn't just
MC'd.
like a small spot.
Yeah.
I saw you MC, I saw you dance, I saw you sing live.
Yeah.
So that's really, really cool to be
Thank
able
you.
to come over and have those opportunities.
Yeah, it has been really awesome.
Yeah. Brisbane, I've always found, has had those kind of things going on.
Yeah.
Even though we aren't really known too much for being like the artsy city in Australia, I think Sydney's probably...
Sydney or Melbourne, really.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like Melbourne more, honestly.
Yeah. And so you chose Brisbane because like environment stuff,
Yeah.
but was there anything that made you think, oh, maybe Sydney or Melbourne would have been like better for artsy stuff or...
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I definitely, there were a couple times where I was like, why am I here?
Don't take offense, everyone.
No, it doesn't help that when I told people who are from Brisbane, when I told them that I came here for exchange, every single time they would say,
Why?
Yeah. Every single time. So y'all are mouthing your own place, okay?
It's
not-
true.
I was excited to get here, and the moment I get here, Brisbaners are like, why are you here? I'm like, okay.
It's true. When
That's very true.
We've spoken to other people that are from other countries and
Yeah.
they're like, oh, maybe we'll come visit. And we're like, don't. Like, there's nothing here. We'll meet you in Sydney.
Exactly. So yeah, I was definitely like, why didn't I go to Melbourne? Why didn't I go to Sydney? But you know,
We're not in Melbourne and Sydney.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
So then,
this was meant to be. You're meant to be right here where you are right now.
yeah, then nothing would have worked out. I wouldn't be on this podcast.
That's
So that's
exactly
like the whole
right.
point of me being here in Brisbane.
Exactly.
I don't know if it's because there is less stuff going on that maybe the opportunities are bigger here.
That's
It's something
true.
that I think I've realized. Like I've been paid for drag here, like more by far than I've ever been paid for drag.
That's great.
In Toronto and Montreal, which are like really big drag hubs.
I think also because Brisbane is a smaller city, I don't know if it makes it kind of harder to break into that scene and get noticed because there aren't like a bunch of little things going on. It's more like those bigger, less frequent things.
Yeah.
But I feel like maybe that does offer more opportunity than, say, so much going on in bigger cities like Sydney and Melbourne that you don't kind of know where to go.
Exactly. Yeah. It's a give and take.
Yeah, there's a bit of a leeway.
Yeah.
So we've spoken a bit about your coming here to Australia and choosing Brisbane, but I want to rewind a little bit and go all the way back to your coming out story, which is a question we ask everybody on this podcast.
It's always the most fun question because everyone has such a unique experience with coming out and everyone's journey is different, and you use he, they pronouns.
Yeah.
So tell us about that. Go from as far back as you're willing to go.
Oh my God. My coming out story is kind of funny because I was always a gay child. It's just
Love
true.
it.
I came out as bisexual when I was 12.
Same.
And then for a while, because it's kind of interesting because for me, I kind of feel like I came out of the closet and then I kind of went back in.
Yeah.
Like I when I was 12, I came out as bi. I dyed my whole hair pink. I was like, oh my God, yas, whatever. But then people were like, what's that?
Yeah.
What is that? No.
Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah.
They're just like, you're just doing that for attention. That's not real.
I think that's always the go-to from people, right? It's always an attention seeking
It's
thing.
a phase comment.
Yeah.
all
And
a
look at me.
phase.
I don't want attention.
No, not
I've
at
never
all.
wanted attention ever in my
You
life.
want to fly under that radar.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I never want to stick out. But yeah, I feel like I came out and then people were mean and then I kind of went back in and then COVID happened.
Right. Yeah.
And I feel like that's a common theme for a lot of people. Like COVID happened and I started thinking about myself less in terms of like what people expected me to be and more in terms of like what actually made me happy. And it went like she, they, she, they, them, he, they, okay, we're here type vibe. And that was like an evolution over like a good couple of years, I would say.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess I'm non-binary and a little twink
Yeah.
who's just gonna be gay.
So
And
tell us the thoughts running through your head when you were like, okay, who am I?
Oh my God, so many. Like I was also identified as a lesbian for a long time and that was a big thing, like declared men out of my life. And now I'm a raging homosexual. Yeah, I don't know.
What was the thoughts going through your head when you're like, I don't know if she fits me or he fits me or they fits me?
Yeah.
So then you've gone through this evolution of pronouns and defining who you are to who you are now. How did that feel for you mentally? Like, how did you reach that place?
It's definitely been a lot of ups and downs.
Yeah.
For sure. I think with pronouns and not so much deciding, I think it's less of a decision, but more of a feeling.
Yeah.
And I think it's like throughout my journey of seeing what pronouns fit me, I feel like I've just had it in my head that's like, well, if that feels good, then I'm going to ask people to call me that.
Yeah.
And nothing else really matters.
We've had this discussion in terms of people who don't respect pronouns.
Yeah.
And when you're in the queer space, I think it's a lot easier to understand than people who are outside of the queer space. But Lauren and I have always said, how is it different from somebody giving you a nickname and you love that nickname and you're like, instead of calling me this, call me this.
Yeah.
Like instead of addressing me this way, address me this way. It's really not that difficult, is it?
It's not.
And I think there is leeway to forgive some people, but it's the deliberate wrong pronouns that get to you, right? Like if people know and they're deliberately going, nah, in my head, I'm going to call Pandora this.
Yeah.
That's what's shit.
I feel like I don't run into that as much. Yeah, more so like I find that people just see me and they assume and they call me whatever and then I correct them. And it's the reaction to the correction that is very telling. One reaction is the correct reaction, which is like, oh yeah, okay. And just move on.
Yeah.
And then I've had a reaction that's just like, you're joking.
Which is cutting.
Which is like, oh, okay. No, I'm not. I'm never speaking to you again. Thanks.
It's blatant disrespect.
For real.
There's a difference between
Exactly.
someone willing to get to know
Try
you,
and understand.
willing to, accept, try and
They
understand.
don't even accept.
Yeah.
I don't fucking care if you accept me. You just need to respect me.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, absolutely.
Exactly. We're all human beings. Like, I don't care if you don't understand. You can figure it out on your own time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can just call me what I asked you to call me.
Yeah.
And we can be done with it.
At the end of the day, I don't think that anybody who hasn't gone through the same evolution and the same journey is ever going to understand or fully understand. But what matters is the fact that we can sit here and have this conversation and respect each other in the exact same way.
Yeah.
We all exist on this earth, right? What's going to be the best way to move forward and all reach an end goal is just treat each other with respect.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's the worst thing you've come up against in terms of either homophobia, transphobia, anything like that you've...
I was called a faggot as I was walking down the street by this person who I actually knew.
That's worse.
Totally. Definitely worse. That was horrible. I felt really unsafe. There's this university, Queen's University, and it's a very like cis-het place to be.
Yeah.
Cis-het, also like white and privileged, very much so as well. And I went up there to visit my friends for St. Patrick's Day this one semester. And there's this guy that in my past assaulted me when I was like very young. We were both very young, whatever. But I was just walking down the street with my friend and he was walking down the street at the same time with someone else, whatever. And like, just as we crossed paths, he was just like, faggot to me.
But like,
and
Why? Yeah.
because he's a fucking bigot, I guess. And then he was just like laughing. And I remember I was with my friend who's like straight and cis. So she's never really had to experience anything like that. And she wanted to do something. She wanted to like run after him. I was like,
what are you going to do that's not putting yourself in danger?
Exactly.
Though?
Yeah.
And I think
Exactly.
that's something that we come up against. Even Lauren and I finish these interviews and we go to the shops wearing these shirts and we go, shit, probably should have put something on. But
Yeah.
at the end
The
of the day,
eyes staring.
we exist and it's okay for us to exist. We
Yeah.
all know that.
Yeah.
We should be able to exist without that shit being thrown at us across the street, especially from people we know.
Yeah.
And
that's worse.
what does it achieve? Are you hoping to like hurt you so bad you're never going to walk down the street again? No, fuck off.
I think it makes them feel better about themselves. I think it makes them feel higher. I think it makes them feel that they are at a place above us that they can look down on us from. I think, yeah, it makes them feel good about themselves.
How
which
sad
is like
is
really
that?
sick.
Yeah.
It is
And
really
gross.
sad and sick.
And like, it's like scum.
It says a lot about a person for you to feel good about yourself if you have to put someone else down or throw shade at somebody to feel
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
A lot of those comments come from people with like a lot of internalized homophobia
Oh yeah.
and homophobia.
Externalized.
Yeah, exactly.
It's definitely there. It just came to my mind to talk about my experience in Brisbane,
Yeah.
specifically because I think I found that people here, when they see something different, when they see something that they haven't seen before, all of a sudden you are not a human being and they're looking at you and talking at you, not talking to you, talking at you as if you're like not even there. Like, I look like this. I do this. I love this. Sometimes I do like eccentric makeup looks to go out. Sometimes I'm doing it to go perform. And so when I'm walking on the street, I'm just getting gawked at. Like I have never been gawked at before. Obviously I've gotten looks when I'm in Canada, but usually they're just looks. Here, people talk about me loudly in front of me as I walk by.
Wow.
And they're like, oh, they're like, what is that? They're like, blah, blah, blah. If I'm wearing big black eyeliner, they're like, Jojo Siwa. I'm like, girl, you're tired. Is it Halloween? You're tired. Think of something new. Think of something different. But it does kind of get to you a little bit because it's like it feels like they don't see you as a human being. Like they literally see you as like something to
Yeah. Yeah.
at. Like
Like you don't want to feel like you're in a zoo, right? Yeah. You came to Australia to have a good experience and
Yeah.
I'm sorry that's
that's been
the
the
reception
experience.
that you're getting from like a general crowd.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's unfortunate.
it's also, I think, especially the college crowd.
Yeah,
Yes.
which I thought would have been a bit more accepting, really, because I think like our next generation of young adults are growing up with a lot more queer culture around them and a lot more accepting queer culture around them. I know we are still not like bounds ahead of where where we could be, but even for me growing up as a queer kid, we are bounds ahead of where we were.
True.
So that surprises me a little bit.
I would also say yes and no to that though.
Okay.
Because I think with social media, the existence of echo chambers is so real. Like us as queer people are obviously surrounded by queer content, but there's so much internet and there's so much of the internet that is not queer content and that is homophobic and that is transphobic and that is still for younger people. Something I get scared about is I feel like the new generation of queer people is coming out just as strong as the new generation of bigots.
Okay. Yeah.
And just as there's more queer content, there's more bigot content.
Yeah.
That's
Like, and if you're a bigot, that's all you're seeing.
That's true. I never
Didn't think about it that way.
Yeah.
We think that we are ahead of where we were, say, in the 90s and the early 2000s. We are definitely a few steps ahead. We have gay marriage here. We have drag here. We did not have massive drag culture, especially
not really growing
in Brisbane. We now have drag brunches every weekend. We have drag bingo, and that's kind of in pubs where you would not think that drag queens would be accepted. So that kind of content is being like, that culture is seeping in places where it's good to have.
Yeah.
I literally said before you got here, the only thing you need in your life to know how far we haven't come as a society is to get on Facebook and read a comment section.
Yeah, you did.
And that kind of puts you back in the closet a bit, because you go, oh, I feel so free in my life. I've discovered who I am and I'm living my truth. And then you go online and you see one comment section about maybe and it doesn't even have to be crazy. It was like a month ago, we're talking about a book in Sydney Library being banned because it's about a two-dad family.
Two-dad family, yeah.
And you're just like, my God. Like,
and
how
in Sydney, out of all places.
Sydney is the biggest queer city in Australia.
I think the sad thing is, there's always going to be keyboard warriors, and they hide behind that, unfortunately.
Oh yeah, 100%.
I think all we can do is just keep being us and keep pushing out the queer content and trying to educate those, and hopefully people listen.
Yeah.
One big thing is you don't have to understand someone or like what someone else is doing, but it doesn't fucking affect you.
To allow them to exist.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It doesn't affect you.
Exactly 100%. Yeah.
Wow, we started heavy.
We did. We were
really heavy.
Really heavy. Really deep.
Let's go to some fun stuff though.
Okay.
So when did drag start for you?
Oh my God. Loaded question.
Is it loaded?
No. It's just my whole life. Like,
No, tell us about it. Tell
since
us.
I got into drag in general, like my love for drag from watching RuPaul's Drag Race.
Yeah.
When I was like 14, I want to say. So I started watching when I was like 14 and went to DragCon when I was like 16, which was so cool. And then you guessed it, during COVID, I was bored and I was like, let me try doing drag. And I tried doing drag one time and it was cute, but it was just like, I just did the makeup and I was like, that's cute. And then I went to university and I just was living my life in university, but my makeup just kept getting like more and more just for going out. Like I just kept wanting to do more with my makeup because it was just like fun and I just like enjoyed it. And then at a certain point I was like, this is drag.
Yeah.
I'm doing drag with my makeup just to go out. Also, I'm a theater kid and I've like been a theater kid my whole life. And it was like my second year of university and I was wanting to perform so badly and like didn't get into the musical. And I was just like, well, hello.
Yeah.
Put this makeup on, put a wig on, go on stage. And then I have my opportunity to perform and be in that spotlight and connect to my theater kid, if you will. And then I started performing. That was November 2023. No. 2022.
That's last year. Yeah.
That was November 2022. November 2022, I started performing.
Wow.
And yeah.
How did you get to your first performance?
So the first performance was at my college bar, at my university bar, and it was an amateur drag night. So I just did it. I just saw it and I was like, oh, I'm doing it. Yeah. And I did it. Yeah.
Wow.
I love that. I love that you sort of went, how can I find this opportunity for myself to really heal my inner child, I guess, go for the theatre loving kids without having to be in a musical or being in theatre.
Yeah, exactly.
I was going to say the same thing. There seems to be this pattern with people that we talk to, and it might just be people in the creative space that go, I didn't get this opportunity, so I'm going to create an opportunity for myself, which is essentially what we did with this podcast. We were like, I want to hear queer content in audio format. Yeah. Where is it? There's
Not
only
here.
a few. Let's start one. Like,
yeah, exactly.
And now, ironically, I don't listen to us because
I do.
I get sick of hearing my own voice. But yeah, so you did your own show at College Theatre. And then I noticed, because we've seen you perform live, you sing as well.
Yes.
Yeah. So
I sing live.
do you feel like that sets you apart from other drag queens because
Instead
you
of
don't
just
lip
lip-syncing?
sync?
I mean, I also lip sync too sometimes. If I'm doing like a really dancey number, then I will definitely lip sync because I'd be out of breath.
Yeah.
But also I don't really have body mics on the ready at your local drag venue. So, but I totally would actually sing and dance if I had a body mic.
You do the old school Britney
Like, I was
Spears
gonna say,
before
I was
she
literally
started.
going to say like a
Were
Britney
you?
Spears moment.
Yeah.
Yeah. In Montreal, I think there's more singing drag artists. Here though, I was definitely like the only one. And I was like told by the drag artists at the show that I would do, not every Sunday, but good amount of Sundays, basically said like no one else really sings live here, so keep doing that.
Because
That's
you were
amazing.
different.
Yeah.
You have to offer that different thing.
Yeah.
We said in your intro that you sing, you dance, and you are a clowning drag performer. So is that how you would fully describe your drag?
I think so. I don't know.
Yeah?
It's just like, I like to make people laugh, and I like to do outrageous things on stage. And I think singing, dancing, clowning.
I can see that. I feel like your energy sprouts a lot of joy, and that probably comes across in your drag, right?
Thank you. I appreciate that.
It's very creative drag. I feel it's almost like anime cosplay as well.
Oh, yeah.
Do you get that a lot?
No, not really. Honestly.
Really?
Yeah.
I get like this really cool character vibe from you.
Oh, very much so.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Pandora is definitely a character of their own volition, for sure.
And you just said your name.
I was going to say.
Yeah, go for it.
I was going to say. So as you just said your name, where did the name Pandora's Box Muncher come from?
I actually created that name the first time I did drag. I was like 17, just like in my friend's bedroom, and we just did our makeup for fun. And I had also just come out as a lesbian, and I really liked the name Pandora. So a lot of things converging all at once. Pandora was a name that I just really enjoyed at that time. And so I was like, something Pandora, and then there's Pandora's Box, and I was like, well, Pandora's Box is already a drag artist. Pandora's Box, Muncher. And then I was just like, perfect. Yeah.
Wow.
And every time I enjoy the reaction it gets so much. Like I could never think of changing my name.
It's so funny.
Yeah.
I love it.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I just want to make people laugh.
Yeah, and that says a lot about you as a character. Like even just meeting you properly today, because we only briefly met at UQ Queer Collective. As Lauren said, there's so much joy around your character, and the name fits you quite perfectly.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. I love your makeup, by the way.
Thank you.
So like, how did you learn to do makeup? Did you do like the YouTube tutorials thing?
I've definitely like utilized some YouTube tutorials, but I've been doing my own makeup since I was like 12. Again, like I've always been like a glitzy glammy type. Like I did my own bat mitzvah makeup.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Yeah, love Jewish people.
Lauren's Jewish.
Oh, cool. I would say I definitely take a lot of inspiration from Trixie Mattel and kimchi, but mostly I self-taught, I would say.
Yeah.
And just trial and error.
You've said that you sort of identified as a gay child from early on. Were there sort of like any light bulb moments for you?
Well, when I was 12, I had this friend at summer camp, and she was my very good friend. Let's just say that. And
Like very, very good?
very, very good. And basically she was just like, I'm bi. And I was like, what is that? And then she was just like, I like boys and girls. I was like, that's a thing. Oh my God, same. And that was literally it. And then I don't know, for a light bulb, I've always loved the villains, I will say. And the villains are so gay coded, which is, that's kind of another thing.
Actually, I do get a bit of a Harley Quinn vibe from you.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's interesting. I've never got that before.
Really?
Yeah.
I like it. Harley Quinn was the first villain that like popped into my head when you said that. And I was like, oh, I can kind of see like this.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Like a blue, purple, pink.
Yeah. I think it's just the vibe you give.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then like how colorful your makeup is. Wow. It's funny how we identify with certain things as kids growing up.
Yeah.
Did you have like a celebrity crush that was out of the ordinary? Like
Mine was a villain.
Lauren's was Shigo from Kim Possible.
Wait, that's the green and black hair,
Yeah,
right?
green and black hair.
duh. Obviously. Yes. I was in
wasn't
love with her.
Obviously.
It wasn't obvious for me.
Yeah, it was definitely obvious for me. I love that character for sure, too. Very much so.
I think the closest I got to cartoon, not like crush, but
Nala from The Lion King.
no, that's a lion. Which is whatever. But I think Buttercup from the Powerpuff Girls.
That explains a lot.
Does it? Is it because she's short and I'm short? I don't know. I think like that's probably the only, not that I found her attractive, but it was like that kind of darkness I kind of like gravitated to, I suppose, because she wasn't as like bubbly and poppy as the other two Powerpuff Girls.
Yeah.
I don't know. What's the difference between the drag scenes in Brisbane versus Canada? Because obviously you've performed at home and then coming to Brisbane and performing here. What are the biggest differences that you see?
Definitely the size.
Yeah.
It's much smaller here. Very drag queen centric. I don't think I even like fully immersed myself in the drag world here because I think I was a little busy with school and things like that. So I did only really go to the open stage, I will say. But from what I've seen on drag people's stories that I follow, like there are all types of drag here. I just didn't have the pleasure of interacting with it as much. But from my experience here, it's definitely, very drag queen heavy. Not as many shows as in Montreal and Toronto, for sure. And there's definitely more singing in Montreal.
What's the frequency of shows over there? Like you can go out any night and there's something draggy on?
Basically, yeah.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah.
What's on the bucket list for you? Where do you want to go?
Oh my God.
And do you want to take drag like all the way?
Yeah, for sure. I kind of see drag as something that like I'll always have with me. I see it as something that I can always bring with me and like bring anywhere and feel at home there, no matter where I am.
Mm-hmm. It gives you that sense of home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like doing drag, you can find community anywhere. Like you can find a drag community anywhere, and then it's a good place to just feel welcome and safe and all of those important things. And yeah, where would I want to do drag is a really good question.
Do you want to go on RuPaul's Drag Race?
Do you want to go on RuPaul's Drag Race?
I don't think I'm really the fit for RuPaul's Drag Race. I'm not a drag queen. I don't identify as a drag queen. And RuPaul's Drag Race is definitely very queen centric. Mm-hmm. There's another drag show.
Okay.
The Boulet Brothers, Dragula.
Okay.
Have you heard of that?
I like Dragula.
Okay, yes. It's a very much more...
It's like horror themed drag, right?
Yes.
It's like
drag
creepy.
creatures.
Yeah, that.
Okay.
Drag monsters.
I'll show you later.
I definitely align myself more with drag creatures and monsters than queens, kings. I consider myself a drag thing.
Okay, yeah.
So not really human.
Yeah.
I like it.
I have these... What's
You've
going on?
got that like third dimension, I guess, of drag going on.
I would just say I'm not a human.
Okay.
I'm definitely not a human.
That's really interesting to learn because I only know a lot of drag from RuPaul's Drag Race, which I know a lot of the world would think the same. RuPaul's Drag Race has really brought drag culture to the forefront of our faces because
It's definitely
it's on TV.
brought a particular type of drag culture
Yes.
to the forefront,
Yeah.
I would say, for sure.
So it's interesting to talk to you and learn about the fact that there are different drag cultures around because even
100%.
I would not know that.
Yeah.
I know that we have seen different types of drag queens. Like Utica was quite a creative queen. There's been other queens that have done like
Evie
a lot
Oddly.
of
Evie Oddly.
horror themed.
Yeah.
But that's how you would define your drag as opposed to
Not necessarily horror themed, but otherworldly for
Otherworldly.
sure. Like alien thing comes to mind a lot. Yeah.
Cool.
That's really cool.
So
Thank you.
what advice would you give to somebody who wants to start doing drag?
Just fucking do it.
Yeah.
Don't overthink it. Nothing needs to be perfect. Figure out what you want to give on stage. Figure out your character before anything else and build off of that. And you don't need to buy anything new. You can just put shit together and kind of figure it out. Most of what I have on is like vintage and like DIY or not even vintage, it's just like thrift. And just like I hot glue gun pearls onto a chest that I got from like a Halloween store for $30. Like just figure out the fantasy, the character. Do you want to be sexual? Do you want to be light and playful? Like there's so many directions you can go. Look at other drag artists for inspiration, see what pulls you and just go off that. And if you're in the Brisbane area, go to the Mega Beat Club Sunday Spotlight open stage because everyone's welcome.
I love that.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So that's how you were able to perform in Brisbane, just by going to the Beat.
Yeah. 100%.
The Beat has been a staple in so many queer people's childhoods, or not childhoods, don't go there if you're a kid. Early adulthood, I guess. The drinks used to be like $4 basics there. $2. You could go there between 10 p.m. and 11 p.m. you could just get like $4 basics.
The happy hour.
And it was like
Not
now
anymore.
they're like 12.
Yeah, that's crazy. Wow, this has been a really interesting conversation. I'm so glad that you joined us today.
Thank you for having me.
No, it's been great. We hope that you enjoyed listening to Pandora's episode, and we will put all of their socials. Make sure you're following. You never know when you'll find them at the Beat.
Yeah.
Go to the Beat and get amongst drag. That's another big thing that we want to do with this podcast is let everybody know that it's not just down to what you see on television.
Yeah.
We need to get amongst the drag culture here.
Go to local drag.
Yeah.
Support your local drag. Tip your drag queens, tip your drag kings.
Yeah. But you never know when these performers are going to go fucking pop off and be amazing on television because they're amazing here already.
Yeah.
So support them now.
Support
them. Yeah, get amongst it.
Be an early fan.
Yeah.
So this has been another fabulous episode of Just Gay Stuff podcast.
I have been Jess.
And I have been Lauren.
And this has been Pandora's Box Muncher. And until next week,
remember to
stay gay, motherfuckers.
I'm talking about, you're talking about, we're talking about just gay stuff.
Thanks for joining us on another episode of Just Gay Stuff. Make sure to follow us at Just Gay Stuff Podcast on all your socials and write to us with your stories at justgaystuffpodcast@gmail.com.